Theories of Human Reasoning by Jean Piaget and Lawrence Kohlberg, with age brackets. Introduction. Good day, everyone. Today, we will explore the development of human reasoning through the theories of two influential psychologists, Jean Piaget and Lawrence Kohlberg. Piaget focused on how humans learn to think and understand the world, while Kohlberg examined how we develop moral reasoning. We'll also bring this discussion to life with real-life examples and include age brackets to help us understand when these stages typically occur. Part 1. Jean Piaget's Cognitive Development Theory. Jean Piaget theory revolutionized our understanding of how children learn and grow, placing significant emphasis on how they construct knowledge through their experiences. One of the foundational elements of Piaget's theory is the concept of schemas. What are schemas? Schemas are essentially mental frameworks or structures that help us organize and interpret information. Think of them as blueprints we use for understanding the world. For example, a child may have a schema for a dog. This includes characteristics such as forelegs, fur, and barking. When they encounter new information, such as seeing a cat, they may try to fit this new animal into their existing schema. What is the process of assimilation? This is the process through which we integrate new information into our existing schemas without changing the schema itself. For instance, when our young friend sees a cat for the first time, they may think, "This is a fluffy animal. It must be a dog." In this case, they are assimilating the cat into their dog schema, using what they already know to make sense of new experiences. This process is crucial for learning as it helps maintain a consistent understanding of the world. What is the process of accommodation? Accommodation occurs when new information cannot fit into our existing schema, and we must change our understanding to incorporate the new data. So, when the child learns that a cat is not a dog, they must adjust their schema to define cats and dogs as distinct categories. This restructuring of knowledge allows for a more accurate understanding of their environment. How assimilation and accommodation interact. Assimilation and accommodation are complementary processes, working together to enhance cognitive development. When children are exposed to new experiences, they first attempt to assimilate. If that doesn't work, they accommodate. This dynamic allows children to construct more complex and nuanced understanding as they progress through different cognitive stages. As we see, this interaction is vital for a child to adapt their thinking and learn effectively. In summary, Jean Piaget's theories on schemas, assimilation, and accommodation are instrumental in comprehending how children learn and develop cognitively. In addition, Piaget's theory of cognitive development also explains the differences in mental abilities among individuals based on key factors such as developmental stages, active learning, social interaction, and environmental influences. This theory helps us understand why individuals exhibit differences in mental abilities. It highlights key factors such as developmental stages, active learning, social interaction, and environmental influences. Let's begin with the stages of development. Piaget's 4 distinct stages: sensor-motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. Each of these stages represents a specific level of understanding that children acquire as they grow. It's important to note that individuals progress through these stages at their own pace. For example, while one child might grasp the concept of conservation in the concrete operational stage at age 7, another may take a bit longer. This variation contributes to the differences we observe in mental abilities among children. Next, we will explore the concept of active learning. According to Piaget, learning is most effective when individuals actively engage with their environment. This means that when students participate fully in their learning experiences, such as hands-on experiments in a science class, they are more likely to develop robust cognitive skills. Conversely, passive learning, where students merely listen to lectures or read without engagement, can hinder cognitive development. Those who actively involve themselves in their education tend to understand and retain information better. Moving on, let's discuss the role of social interaction in cognitive development. Piaget believed that engaging with peers and knowledgeable adults is crucial for challenging one's thinking and promoting cognitive growth. For instance, group discussions, collaborative projects, or even simple conversations can help students form new ideas and viewpoints. Exposure to diverse social contexts allows individuals to develop varying mental abilities that contribute to their overall cognitive development. Now, let's consider environmental influences. The environment has a significant impact on cognitive development. Factors such as home life, educational settings, and social expectations can profoundly affect a child's mental abilities. Children who grow up in stimulating environments, filled with educational resources, supportive relationships, and opportunities for exploration, are likely to develop advanced cognitive skills. In contrast, those in less supportive settings may face challenges that hinder their cognitive advancement. Finally, while Piaget's theory offers valuable insights, it also has notable limitations. Critics have pointed out that he may have underestimated the cognitive abilities of young children. Additionally, his framework does not fully account for external influences, such as cultural factors, that can significantly affect cognitive growth. Now, let's focus on how Piaget's theory explains the development of cognitive reasoning in 4 stages, from infancy to adulthood. Each stage represents a different way of thinking. Let's explore these stages with real-world examples. 1. Sensorimotor stage, 0 to 2 years. At this stage, infants learn about the world through senses and actions. Their understanding is purely physical, touching, seeing, and manipulating objects. Real-life example. A baby playing with a rattle doesn't initially know that the rattle still exists once it rolls under the couch. Later in the stage, they develop object permanence, understanding that the rattle exists even when out of sight. 2. Pre-operational stage, 2 to 7 years. Children start to use symbols such as language, but their thinking is still egocentric. They find it hard to see things from others' perspectives. Real-life example. A child playing hide and seek might cover their eyes and assume you can't see them either. This is classic egocentric reasoning. Another example. They might draw a house with the sun inside it, believing that what they understand is shared by everyone. 3. Concrete operational stage, 7 to 11 years. Children begin to think logically about concrete objects and situations. They understand concepts like conservation, that quantity remains the same even when it changes form. Real-life example. If you pour water from a tall glass into a wide glass, a younger child might think the tall glass has more water. By this stage, children understand the amount is the same in both glasses, demonstrating conservation. 4. Formal operational stage, 12 plus years. In this stage, individuals develop the ability to think abstractly, engaging in hypothetical and deductive reasoning. Real-life example. Teenagers might think about hypothetical situations like solving climate change. They can now reason beyond concrete experiences, considering long-term effects and imagining abstract solutions, like inventing a new technology. Part 2. Lawrence Kohlberg's moral development theory with age brackets. Kohlberg's model examines how we develop moral reasoning through 6 stages grouped into 3 levels: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Kohlberg's stages are flexible, and individuals may progress at different rates, but will provide age brackets to illustrate typical development. 1. Pre-conventional level, typically up to age 9. Stage 1. Obedience and punishment orientation. Moral reasoning is based on avoiding punishment. Right and wrong are defined by consequences, not personal principles. Real-life example. A child might refrain from hitting a sibling, not because they believe it's wrong, but because they want to avoid being punished. For them, morality is about obedience to authority. Stage 2. Individualism and exchange. Children begin to see that others have different perspectives, but their reasoning is still self-interested. They ask, "What's in it for me?" Real-life example. If 2 children agree to share toys, one might only agree if they get something in return. At this stage, moral decisions are based on self-interest rather than a sense of fairness or justice. 2. Conventional level, adolescence to adulthood, 9 to 18 years. Stage 3. Good interpersonal relationships. Moral reasoning focuses on social approval. People want to be seen as good by those around them. Real-life example. A teenager volunteers for community work, not necessarily because they believe in the cause, but because they want to be admired by their peers or recognized by teachers. Here, morality is about fitting in and gaining approval. Stage 4. Maintaining social order. At this stage, individuals understand the importance of laws and authority for maintaining societal order. Morality is based on duty and upholding laws. Real-life example. Think of a teenager who obeys traffic laws, not out of fear of punishment, but because they believe rules are necessary for the good of society. They believe in the importance of laws to ensure order and safety. 3. Post-conventional level, some adults, typically after age 18. Stage 5. Social contract and individual rights. Individuals start recognizing that laws exist for the greater good but are flexible and should serve human rights. They value fairness and democracy. Real-life example. Consider someone advocating for changes to unjust laws, such as a civil rights activist. They understand that laws can and should be challenged when they don't promote fairness or justice. This stage requires abstract moral reasoning, beyond simply following rules. Stage 6. Universal ethical principles. At this stage, morality is guided by universal principles such as justice, equality, and human dignity. Individuals may break laws or face societal disapproval to uphold these principles. Real-life example. Think about historical figures like Mahatma Gandhi or Nelson Mandela, who fought against unjust laws and systems for human rights, even at great personal cost. They believed in universal principles like justice, even when it meant breaking the law. Part 3. Connecting Piaget and Kohlberg. So, how do Piaget's and Kohlberg's theories connect in terms of human reasoning? Cognitive foundations for moral development. Piaget's stages of cognitive development provide the foundation for Kohlberg's moral reasoning. For example, children must reach the formal operational stage in Piaget's model before they can engage in the abstract thinking needed for the higher stages of Kohlberg's moral development. From concrete to abstract thinking. In both models, we see a progression from concrete thinking to abstract reasoning. Piaget explains how children go from using their senses to understanding abstract ideas. Similarly, Kohlberg shows how moral reasoning starts with concrete consequences, like punishment, and develops into a concern for universal ethical principles. Social interaction and moral growth. Both theories emphasize the role of social interaction in reasoning development. Piaget believed that interacting with the world helps children build cognitive structures, while Kohlberg believed that engaging with moral dilemmas and societal issues pushes individuals toward higher levels of moral reasoning. In summary, Piaget and Kohlberg provide valuable frameworks for understanding human reasoning. Piaget explains how we develop the ability to think and understand the world, while Kohlberg shows us how our sense of right and wrong evolves. By considering real-life situations and age brackets, we can see how these theories apply to our own experiences, from childhood to adulthood. Now, to make our topic more interesting, let's dive into a moral puzzle that challenges our ideas of right and wrong. The Heinz Dilemma. We'll apply the theories of Piaget and Kohlberg to this classic ethical scenario to understand how different stages of moral development affect decision-making. But before we apply these theories, let's first get familiar with the dilemma itself. What is the Heinz Dilemma all about? Imagine this scenario. Heinz's wife is gravely ill, and there's only one drug that can save her. The problem? The drug is incredibly expensive, and Heinz can't afford it. Despite his best efforts, Heinz can't gather enough money, and the pharmacist who developed the drug refuses to lower the price or accept late payment. Now, Heinz is faced with a tough decision. Should he break into the pharmacy and steal the drug to save his wife's life? Or should he follow the law and leave his wife to die? This is a tough question, right? Well, this moral dilemma is a great way to explore how people think about right and wrong, especially as they grow and develop. Now, let's see how Piaget's and Kohlberg's theories of moral development explain how we approach problems like these. Now that we've outlined the dilemma, let's shift our focus to how Piaget's theory of moral development helps explain the way people approach such ethical problems. Let's dive into Piaget's stages of moral thinking to better understand the progression of moral reasoning in children. In the first part of this lecture, we discussed how children's thinking develops over time. Jean Piaget believed that their understanding of morality evolves as they grow older. Now, let's begin by applying Jean Piaget's theory of moral development to the Heinz Dilemma. Piaget's theory helps us understand how children's views on morality evolve as they grow and mature. 1. Heteronymous morality, ages 5 to 10. At this stage, children see rules as fixed and unchangeable. Their focus is on following rules to avoid punishment. In their minds, rules are absolute. How might they respond to the Heinz Dilemma? A child in this stage might say, Heinz shouldn't steal the drug because stealing is always wrong, and he could get punished for it. For them, the act of stealing itself is bad, regardless of the reason. 2. Autonomous morality, ages 10 plus. As children grow older, their understanding of rules becomes more flexible. They begin to consider the context and intent behind actions. This stage reflects a more nuanced view of morality, where decisions depend on the situation. How might they respond? At this stage, a child might say, Heinz should steal the drug because saving his wife's life is more important than the rule against stealing. They recognize that sometimes breaking a rule can be justified if it serves a greater good. Interesting, right? Piaget helps us see how a child's thinking shifts from a black and white view of rules to a more flexible understanding as they grow. Now, let's take it up a notch with Lawrence Kohlberg. While Piaget focused mainly on children, Kohlberg expanded this idea and looked at how people of all ages, including adults, develop their moral reasoning. Kohlberg's theory of moral development, as previously discussed, is divided into 3 main levels: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Each level represents a different approach to moral reasoning as people grow and develop. Let's begin with the pre-conventional level, where moral decisions are based on personal consequences, primarily rewards and punishments. Stage 1. Obedience and punishment is all about avoiding trouble. A person at this stage might say, Heinz shouldn't steal the drug because he might get caught and go to jail. The focus here is on the fear of punishment. Moving to stage 2. Self-interest. Decisions are driven by personal benefit. Here, someone might argue, Heinz should steal the drug because it will benefit him. He'll save his wife and that's good for him. In this stage, the emphasis is on what's in it for the individual. Now, let's shift to the conventional level, where moral reasoning revolves around social relationships and rules. In stage 3, good interpersonal relationships, the focus is on being a good person and meeting societal expectations. Someone might say, Heinz should steal the drug because a good husband would do anything to save his wife. The reasoning here is centered on fulfilling social roles. As we move to stage 4, maintaining social order, the focus shifts to law and order. At this stage, someone might argue, Heinz should not steal the drug because laws are important for keeping society organized, and breaking the law is wrong no matter the reason. The emphasis here is on upholding rules to maintain order in society. Finally, we arrive at the post-conventional level, where moral reasoning becomes more abstract and principle-based. In stage 5, social contract and individual rights, people begin to see laws as flexible. Someone might say, Heinz should steal the drug because saving a life is more important than protecting property, and laws should be adjusted in such situations. Here, the focus is on the greater good and individual rights over rigid laws. At the highest stage, stage 6, universal ethical principles, moral reasoning is guided by universal principles like justice and equality. A person at this stage might argue, Heinz is morally justified in stealing the drug because the right to life is a fundamental human principle, even if it means breaking the law. Each stage represents a different way of thinking about morality, showing how people evolve from focusing on personal consequences to considering universal principles. By understanding these stages, we can see how different individuals might approach the same moral dilemma from very different perspectives. Connecting the dots. Piaget versus Kohlberg on the Heinz Dilemma. Now, let's bring Piaget and Kohlberg together to see how their theories compare when applied to the Heinz Dilemma. Piaget focuses on how children move from strictly following rules to developing more flexible thinking as they mature. Younger children might say, rules are rules, reflecting their belief in the absoluteness of rules. As they grow older, however, they start to realize that sometimes breaking a rule might be justified, especially if it serves a greater purpose, like saving a life. Kohlberg, on the other hand, provides a more detailed journey of moral development that extends into adulthood. His stages show how moral reasoning evolves from being concerned with punishment to focusing on personal gain, and finally to considering the broader implications of justice, laws, and ethical principles. He explains how our thinking about moral dilemmas becomes more sophisticated over time. Both Piaget and Kohlberg offer valuable insights, helping us understand that moral reasoning isn't just about knowing what's right and wrong. It's about how we think through moral issues and make decisions. Conclusion: how would you respond? In the end, the Heinz Dilemma pushes us to reflect deeply on our beliefs. Should Heinz break the law to save his wife, or should he follow the rules, even if it means losing her? The way we answer this question depends on how our moral reasoning has developed over time. As we close today's lecture, take a moment to think about how you would respond to the Heinz Dilemma. Where do you see yourself in Piaget's or Kohlberg's stages of moral development? Understanding your own reasoning can provide insight into how we all approach ethical challenges differently. Thank you for listening.